So I just created this dope website with Wix. Let me show you how I did it. First up, go to Wix.com. Now this is where the magic happens. You're gonna add an image and some text. Oh, that's nice. First, what we're gonna do is we're gonna start with the font. Wait a minute, Frank, Brandon, David, who are these guys? You know, one day I'm gonna create feral font. You guys know I got a lot of videos. Here, I've uploaded them all. And with a subscription, you guys can check out my top secret material.
Hey, yo, I'm killing it in this high quality.
See, I'm a sharing kind of guy. So here's my Instagram, instant access. I look good, what? Man, I know how hard it is to make people stand up and listen, but with a site like this, you're already there. Go to Wix.com and create your stunning website today. That's all you got to do. It ain't hard. You ain't doing nothing. Stop eating chips.
Hi, my name is Jake and I'm a motion designer from Ukraine. That's why I have this weird accent.
And now we will make this effect. We will not use any external plugins for this effect, not even green screen or rotoscoping. You will need only camera, tripod and any version of After Effects. I decided to make this effect on lowest budget possible. If you're shooting wedding videos, you might be interested in purchasing this After Effects template. It has 12 opening titles, 25 unique light leaks with different color presets and also pre-made wedding slideshow. All is in one template. Link is in description. Also, for Valentine's Day, I have romance slideshow for your photos and videos. You can choose between 3 types of heart shapes as well as changing colors. Link is in description also. And now back to the tutorial.
Let's get started.
I need to say that my tutorials are pretty fast, and I assume that you are having basic knowledge of After Effects. But I also believe that even beginners can follow along with this tutorial. Just make sure to pause this video more often to keep up with all information. If you will repeat all steps carefully, you will get same result for sure. So I have this footage right here. I want to make this punch a lot more dynamic. Let's start here, select our layer and press Ctrl+Shift+D on keyboard. Now let's see where our punch is over, like here. Ctrl+Shift+D on keyboard, right mouse click on this layer and go to time stretch, set it to 25. Let's duplicate this layer, press Ctrl+D on keyboard. At the very end of this layer, right mouse click and go to time freeze frame and drag it over here. Let's see preview. Okay, it looks good. Now let's work on our soul. I drag my footage on this icon here to make a new composition. So as you can see, I don't use green screen, but you need to shoot your video in place where no one's moving. Also, you need to shoot from tripod, and even light should not be changed. Here I'm trying to simulate like I'm flying out from my body. About here I'm stopping, so let's press Ctrl+D on keyboard. And also you need to shoot your background like this. Go to time, freeze frame, drag this below, select this layer, Ctrl+D on keyboard to duplicate, and go to time stretch. Here let's set it to -25 and drag it over here. So we should have something like this. I'm flying out and flying back. We can also select both of these layers, go to time, enable time remapping. Select layer here, create new keyframe and press F9 on keyboard. Then select this layer, create keyframe and press F9 on keyboard again. Excellent. Now select one of these layers, go to Effect, Keying, Difference Math. Here we are selecting our layer below, this layer, with our clean plate. Shut this layer off. Let's make sure that our hands are still in place. It looks okay. Go to Effect, Matte, Matte Choker. Here we need to change first 2 values. Now it looks much better. We can also right mouse click on this layer and go to Layer, Inner Glow. Scroll down here, set it blend mode to multiply, opacity to 100, color to black, and size let's set it to 4. So by using this inner glow and matte choker, we need to clean our edges. Let's also copy these effects, Ctrl C on keyboard, select this layer, Ctrl V to paste, copy layer styles, Ctrl C on keyboard, and paste on this layer. Let's go back to our main comp. I call it main. This we will call sol. Let's drag our sol composition into our main composition. Let's try to match our position and move anchor point right here by using this pen behind tool. As you can see, we need to make this layer size bigger, so press S on keyboard to bring up the scale. Make sure your size is matching. Now we can start animating. Press P and R on keyboard, set keyframes. Let's find the moment where I stop. And now we can animate. I'll drag it over here. Rotation set it to -90. Now we can drag by these handles to make this shape. And then copy these keyframes, Ctrl C on keyboard and Ctrl V to paste. Hold Alt on keyboard and drag by these handles to repeat this shape. Now select these both keyframes, open Graph Editor and press on this icon here and drag by these handles, like this, first and second. Great, let's cut this layer. Let's match our punch here. It looks pretty good, but we have one problem. It does look like I am standing on the ground, so we need to make some adjustments to this foot right here. Select mask and draw some circle like this. Open here, set it to inverted and feather to about 15. Select this layer, Ctrl D on keyboard to make a copy, press M on keyboard to bring up the mask and click on this checkbox here. Then right mouse click on this layer and go to time, freeze frame. And let's make some adjustments to this mask. Let's also drag it below, then press U on keyboard. We need to delete these keyframes, then choose pen behind tool and move our anchor point right here. Select this layer above, press U on keyboard and move your time cursor to these keyframes. Now let's animate our rotation of our foot. Create keyframe, then by using this pick whip, you need to parent to this layer above. Then move it over. Here create another keyframe. And here as well. At this point we need to rotate this a bit. Like this. Let's move it over here. Then select this keyframe, go to Graph Editor and click on Easy Ease. And also drag by these handles. Now as you can see it looks more natural. Excellent. Now we can select these both layers and press on motion blur here and activate it here. Now let's precompose these both layers. Go to Layer, Precompose, and click on this checkbox here. I'll call it Sol Animation. Okay, now we need to slow down this animation. Right mouse click on this layer and go to Time, Time Stretch, and set it to 150. Okay, and now let's time it again. Let's make it a little bit longer. Now it looks okay. Now let's animate opacity. Select our layer, press T on keyboard, set it to 0 and create keyframe. And about here let's set it to 100. Here again set a keyframe and set it to 0. Now click on this toggle switch and set it to screen. Go to Effect, Color Correction, Curves. Our goal to make this ghost-like. Now let's make an adjustment layer. Go to Layer, New, Adjustment Layer. I'll call it Vignette. Let's select Ellipse tool and draw this shape. Then click on this checkbox here. Go to Effect, Color Correction, Curves. And let's change our feather like this. Now we can see our soul a little bit better. Now let's animate our vignette. Press T on keyboard, set a keyframe, and here set it to 0. We can cut this layer. Then here let's set keyframe, and here again to 0. And now we have this animation. Let's add some shockwave. Go to Layer, New, Adjustment Layer. Then go to Effect, Distort, Bulge. Here at the beginning, set it right here. Let's create keyframes on these values. I'll set it to 0.2. Then press U on keyboard. And here let's change these values, like this. and set bulge height to 0. Cut this layer to this moment. Now we have this shockwave. And let's also add some light. Go to Layer, New, Solid, call it Light, make it black, okay. Go to Effect, Generate, Lens Flare. Go to Effect, Color Correction, Tint. And also let's add some blur. Go to Blur and Sharpen, Fast Blur, and set it to Add. Let's move it over here and blur it a bit. Let's create a keyframe. Click here, press U on keyboard, and a little further, let's set it to about 700. Also press T on keyboard, set a keyframe, and about here set it to 0. Now we have this light. Let's also duplicate this layer, Ctrl D on keyboard, set it to Add, and here press T on keyboard, delete these keyframes, set.
So I just created this dope website with Wix. Let me show you how I did it. First up, go to Wix.com. Now this is where the magic happens. You're gonna add an image and some text. Oh, that's nice. First what we're gonna do is we're gonna start with the font. Wait a minute, Frank, Brandon, David, who are these guys? You know, one day I'm gonna create feral font. You guys know I got a lot of videos. Here, I've uploaded them all. And with a subscription, you guys can check out my top secret material.
Hey, yo, I'm killing it in this high quality.
See, I'm a sharing kind of guy. So here's my Instagram, instant access. I look good, what? Man, I know how hard it is to make people stand up and listen, but with a site like this, you're already there. Go to Wix.com and create your stunning website today. That's all you got to do. It ain't hard. You ain't doing nothing. Stop eating chips.
Set a new keyframe and later set it to 0. Now it looks more exciting. Now let's select this layer below with blending mode screen. Press Ctrl D on keyboard. Now we are going to create a solid trail. Cut this layer to this moment and go to Time, Freeze Frame. Press T on keyboard. Delete all these keyframes. Create new one. Set it to 55 and here to 0. And here let's set it to 0 as well. Also press P on keyboard, create new keyframe and move it over like this. So we have this little movement. Also press R on keyboard, create new keyframe at the beginning and later rotate it. Let's also go to Effect, Blur and Sharpen, Fast Blur. Set it to horizontal and set it to about 21. Add some turbulent displays. Size set it to 35. Press and hold Alt on keyboard and click on this evolution. Type here time, multiply 500. Now we have these little waves. We can also copy this layer, Ctrl D on keyboard, drag it over here and go to Time, Enable Timing. Then go to Time, Freeze Frame. Press U on keyboard to see our keyframes and drag them over. Let's also select these both layers and drag it below. Let's see result. If you want, you can make more copies. Sure, you can use rotoscoping or green screen for better keying. In this tutorial, I showed you that you have another really fast way. Of course, it's not the best way, but it's good to know different techniques. I've tested this technique to make this effect, and I was surprised how well it worked and how little time I spent. Literally, it would take only 3 minutes to make this effect. Not the best quality, but still looks pretty fun. If you want to support this channel, you can check out my portfolio and find for yourself cool looking templates. I have a bunch of all kinds After Effects projects. Link is in description.
I hope you like this effect. Make sure to subscribe to see more. Thanks for watching, guys. See you next time.
What's up guys, Ryan here, and in this video I'm going to show you how I jump my car using After Effects. By no means is this video promoting trying to jump an actual car. Here's the raw clip.
Okay, I'll jump this car. Matt, get ready! Alright, hit it!
So pretty cool, like it honestly looks super real. So let's break it down how I do it. So what I did is I had two shots. I had my camera set up on a tripod and I had the one shot of my car going, and then immediately after, without moving the camera or anything, I set up these boxes, which I'll show later, and I jumped over it. So here's a clip of the car. What I'm going to do is I'm going to drag that clip down into a timeline in Premiere, and then what we're going to do is we're going to go up to File, we're going to hit up Adobe.
Hey, I just created a Wix website for my business. Let me show you how I did it. Let's go to Wix.com.
In this video tutorial, we're going to take a look at 28 of the coolest and most amazing little features and tips and tricks in Photoshop that you may or may not know about. Some of them you may have seen me do videos on recently, but a bunch of them you probably haven't. This is 28 great features of Photoshop that you may not have known about. So in an article that I did a few months ago, I outlined 28 great features of Photoshop that I thought you should know. That's right, 28 great features, and that's because BuzzFeed doesn't do Photoshop, so I mean, someone has to. So 28 great features of Photoshop. Let's get started. Here, the first thing is going to be quickly whiten teeth. We're going to do this, and probably the simplest, most realistic way is not to just bleach teeth perfectly white, but rather to use a vibrance adjustment layer. I like to reduce the vibrance to about -60. I got -58, whatever. Select the mask, hit Command or Control I to flip and fill the mask with black. Then you grab the brush tool, and I like to set the opacity of the brush tool to about 50% or so. I'm painting with the color white, and I'm just going to paint over her teeth. I'm actually going to make my brush a little bit smaller there, and paint over the teeth. Now, what this is going to do is it's going to just neutralize enough of that color to give a nice, realistic white. See, there's before, there's after. Looks white, but not bleached white, and that's important. Now, this tip is something special. This is how to merge all of your existing layers to one new layer, just like that, okay? I feel like I write this hotkey, and it's a very long hotkey in almost every tutorial that I write. This is an important one. It's a long hotkey. Control-Shift-Alt and the letter E. So on the Mac, that would be Command-Shift-Option-E. You just have a layer selected, boom, you hit the hotkey, you save all of your layers, but you have everything merged to a nice new layer up here. The Rotate View tool is a very important tool and something that is extremely useful when you are retouching and kind of all the time. I'm actually going to make my brush a little bit smaller there and paint over the teeth. Now, what this is going to do is it's going to just neutralize enough of that color to give a nice, realistic white. See, there's before, there's after. Looks white, but not bleached white, and that's important. Now, this tip is something special. This is how to merge all of your existing layers to one new layer, just like that, okay? I feel like I write this hotkey, and it's a very long hotkey in almost every tutorial that I write. This is an important one. It's a long hotkey. Control-Shift-Alt and the letter E. So on the Mac, that would be Command-Shift-Option-E. You just have a layer selected, boom, you hit the hotkey, you save all of your Shift-Option-E. You just have a layer selected, boom, you hit the hotkey, you save all of your layers, but you have everything merged to a nice new layer up here. The Rotate View tool is a very important tool and something that is extremely useful when you are retouching, and kind of all the time, but especially retouching and using the paintbrush tool. So if I'm painting, I find that if I draw strokes kind of straight across my screen, I'm a little bit more accurate with my brush tool. So let's say I need to follow her hairline. Well, if you hit the letter R, the hotkey is R, it brings you to what's called the Rotate View tool. And if your computer supports OpenGL or whatever the newest graphical card support system is for Photoshop at the time you're watching this tutorial, you can use this tool and rotate temporarily. This is only a temporary rotation. And then so as you switch to the brush tool, and I can paint right in here to get a nice accurate paint, and then hit the letter R again, rotate however I like her to be. And let's say I have her rotated to some crazy angle, 54 degrees, excuse me. I can just hit the Reset View button, boom. It brings her back just to the way it is supposed to be. The Rotate View tool, very, very useful. There's a really neat and really fast way to change layer opacity, and that's by just selecting the Move tool and hitting any number you want. Let's say I want this, I got this white band here, I want it to be semi-transparent. Let's say I want to make it 70% opacity. I hit the letter or the number 7, boom, 70% opacity. Let's say I want 75. In rapid succession, go 75, and bam, 75% opacity. So that's pretty cool. If you hold down Shift, as I just did, and hit a number, you can adjust the fill opacity. So Shift, and let's say the number 7, well, that brings us to 70% as you just saw, but the letter, or the number 0 takes it back to 100. And the same thing, if I'm not hitting Shift plus a number and hit the number 0, takes me back to 100% opacity. Quick side tip on this main tip, if you're using one of the brush tools, like the brush tool or the clone stamp or anything like that, you can hit one of the numbers and it's going to adjust the tool opacity and not the layer opacity. So if you want to adjust the layer opacity, it's important to just select the Move tool. It's just kind of like my go-to. I hit the letter V, which is the hotkey for the Move tool, and then boom, hit a number, and it changes the layer opacity, in this case down to 50%. That's how to quickly change layer opacity with numbers. One of the other really neat things you can do in Photoshop is quickly select another layer just by holding down your Alt or Option key and using the square brackets. So by hitting the left square bracket with the Alt key, you move down the Layers panel, and the right square bracket, you move up the Layers panel. In addition to being able to select layers, if you use instead the Command or Control key, you can actually move that layer. So if you hold Command down and hit the left bracket, you can actually move that layer downward, and the right bracket moves the layer upward. So I can move down, grab this color layer, and lift it up above my sharpening layer, or I can move it back down below, all just using hotkeys, never actually clicking anything in the Layers panel. Occasionally in Photoshop, you need to measure something based on either pixels or inches or something of that nature. You can quickly and easily change your unit of measure by going View, Rulers to show the rulers, and then just simply right-click on the rulers and change the unit of measure from pixels to, let's say, inches. This is also going to change the unit of measure, by the way, over here in like the Info panel when you drag out a selection. See the width, 8.8 by 5.5, that's going to be inches. If I right-click on this and set it to pixels, now we see 1992 width by 1244 height in pixels. So
this generation ruined music, just like the generation before them.
Being able to undo as much as we want is a really great thing. Sadly, we can't undo as much as we want, but there are ways, if you go Edit Preferences, let's go Edit Preferences General, that you can actually change the number of history steps which you can undo. So we're going to go over here to Performance, and you can see I have my history state set to 101, just because why not? But you can really increase this up or bump it down. The more history states you have, the slower Photoshop's going to run, the more resources it's going to require. So that's kind of why you might want to run less history states versus more. If you have a computer that is a beast, run as many history states as you like. It's really that easy. If you don't buy the Mac, you would go to the Photoshop menu, Photoshop, Preferences, boom. So there's a somewhat unknown and very underused feature of Photoshop. In fact, I've never even used it before, but it's something I know about and it's kind of cool. It is the ability to stroke a path with a pattern. So here's how you do it. You create a path just like this, and then you right-click on the path. Don't choose Stroke Path. Instead, choose Fill Path. Now here in the Fill Path dialog, you're going to choose from the Contents drop, and you're going to choose Pattern. Not any of the colors, but Pattern. And then it's important here. You want to check on Script and the script you want to choose is place a long path. None of this other brick fill, whatever, cross weave nonsense. Place a long path. Everything else can remain the way it is, and hit OK. What's going to happen is you're going to get a place a long path dialog box where you can change the scale of the pattern, make the pattern larger or smaller, spacing options, all kinds of stuff you can play with. Hit OK, and you're going to see it's going to place this funky looking pattern all along your path. Again, really not sure how you're going to use it, but something that's kind of cool, and there's got to be a really neat way to use it and really cool stuff you can do with it. But just know that it's there. You can stroke a path with a pattern. In Photoshop, you can apply a mask that's already filled with black. So in this situation, you see we have 2 layers here. One that is kind of like a warmer, richer version of the photo. But let's say we only want to apply this here to the paper. Well, we can immediately hide everything by holding down our Alt or Option key and just selecting the new mask icon. Boom, gives us a mask